All right, everyone, we are back after a horrible week of work. But anyway, this is a little program we like to call
Nothing but worry.
And I am Lance Ash, and here with me on the sofa of doom is my wife, Bonnie Ash.
Hello.
And I guess we should just begin with a wrap or a recollection of what the week's been like. How's your week been, Bonnie?
Busy, busy, busy.
For me also, it has been a busy week. And I think we mentioned on a previous episode that I wrecked my car just about a month ago. My beloved Subaru Crosstrek. That's right. And so we have big news on that front. Why don't you tell the folks out there in Never Never Land what the big news is?
Lance has a new Subaru. Or a new used Subaru.
But it actually has, is it a 2019 or 2020?
It's a 2020.
It actually has fewer miles than the one I got in 2023.
Yeah, when you bought it in 2023, you were still working in Atlanta. So that first year, we were taking it in for oil changes every 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we'd hit a 5,000 mark and just it was constantly going in the shop. And then you finally came back to Athens, went from 125 to 20 miles round trip. And so we ended up with the 2020 with right under 40,000 miles on it. Your other car had 45,000 on it. And the thing that sold me on the car was it had a Carfax report. Number one, it had been in an accident. It had a fender bender on the back and it had been repaired. I went to check it. It was fine. Couldn't even tell it had ever been wrecked. But that automatically means it devalues the car. If we'd been able to wait till next year, it would have been a year older, but still, it was technically 6 years old because the 26 models are already out.
But you said also one of the selling points for you was that it had been given regular maintenance.
Yeah, the Carfax report listed regular on-schedule maintenance, including the big maintenance cycles where they go and flush the transmission fluid and all the other stuff you're supposed to do. And so seeing that, along with low mileage, and low mileage can be kind of iffy because that's a lot of stop-and-go traffic, and it was recorded in Atlanta, which is a higher thing. You've got more fumes, etc., so that means that your car doesn't burn as cleanly.
That's where it was from? It was from the Atlanta area?
Yeah. Okay. So we saw all that on there, but with those regular maintenance and still a low mileage, I said, I want this. I absolutely want this.
So we went... See, the thing is, I loved the Subaru Crosstrek so much that I told Bonnie I really would prefer to get another Subaru Crosstrek, at the very least another Subaru. So she's been looking and looking, and she said, well, it may have to wind up getting an Outback because there's just so many more of them out there available.
Popular car.
But all of a sudden, this thing popped up for sale at a Volkswagen dealership here in Athens, of all places. And I took one look at it, and I said, hell yeah, let's go take a look at it. So we were up there when the place opened.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to see it cold. The 2023 had some problems when it was cold. It was vapor lock issues. There were problems with the eyesight safety system to the point that it wouldn't clear off after 5 or 10 minutes. Most safety systems take 5 or 10 minutes to get the ice off the system, everything to adjust, that sort of thing. This had none of those problems. And the safety features were working because you noted it could read the stop signs and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, when we got up there, they told us, oh, we just sold that at auction. When I went back and looked earlier, They had it at another one of their dealerships in Atlanta and couldn't move it. They sent it to Athens trying to move it. Thinking, Athens more hippie kind of thing, They couldn't move it here.
Lesbian.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm proud to have rejoined my sisterhood of the Subaru.
Yes, the sisterhood of the lesbian hood, yeah, as you put it.
So anyway,
Well,
but the thing
it
is,
wasn't a good start though, because it had sat on the lot and not been looked at. The battery was dead.
right? Yeah.
So they jump started it. We drove it, really liked it, and they threw in a new battery on it. And it ran beautifully as soon as the thing was jump started. It took an immediate jump. So it wasn't any kind of electrical issue, and it restarted and such. And so we took it for a drive. Both of us drove it. And I think I probably scared the guy at one point when I took one of the curves.
Yeah, Bonnie was like, I was like, let's just take it easy.
Yeah.
But when Bonnie drove it, she's like, no, we're going to put the pedal to the metal and we're going to hit the brakes hard and we're going to see what this thing can do.
Exactly.
But the funny thing is, this thing actually has more features. And it has leather seats. But tell them about the seats, the comparison between the seats.
So, one of my big complaints, to the point that I absolutely hated Lance's other car, were the seats. He had a car that was what I call bare bones. You take it, you run it hard, and you wash it out with a hose kind of thing. The seats were like reverse saddles or sideways saddles, and they were really uncomfortable and really hard. This one had soft leather.
Leather seats. I've never had a car with leather seats.
They were broken in, so also a good thing in my opinion, softens it up. I couldn't believe it. I rode in the passenger side. I had no problem. Also, it did not have the problem with the seatbelt locking up. Mm-hmm. The other one locked, and it kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And the only thing you could do was take it off, pull it out, and I would have to put on a lock guard or put my purse between me and the seatbelt to keep from being choked on the passenger side seat.
But the thing is, I got behind the wheel and the dash, the gauges, it was so similar to the one I had.
But the final test was...
First of all, the car that I had, the year I had, 2023, is the last year that they put CD players in the car. Now look, I'm not a man of tomorrow. I'm a man of 1990. I have to have a CD player. I'm not going to listen to music through my damn phone or upload a playlist or some horseshit like that. So, but not only that, it had, what's the brand? Harman Kardon speakers, something.
It sounded good.
So it's a fancy brand of speakers in the thing, and but yeah, it was more of a quote unquote luxury model than the one I had, and moonroof. Which when I saw it, I was like, oh God, I really don't need that. But then when I got inside the car, I realized, it has a slide, so you don't have to have the sun beating down on your bald head, while you're driving.
I swear, if we get up there and that damn thing doesn't start, I'm going to be very upset.
Well,
but then I'll go out and buy you a battery charger for $100.
I haven't mentioned that yet. We went up there. I worked all night. I worked my ass off. This week has been horrible at work. I'll get into that in a minute. But we had to go. I came home, jumped in the shower, put some clothes on, and we went straight up there. And we were there in the goddamn dealership for 2 hours doing paperwork and haggling with the guy.
And it still didn't get the car done because they had to order the battery from a shop.
So we're going to pick it up tomorrow. That's the point I'm getting at. So, and I've got my bag of CDs packed and ready to go. I'm going to put that thing through its paces myself with musically. So anyway, I'm very happy. And the color. The color of the old car was sort of a
Charcoal gray.
Charcoal gray, midnight gray type thing. This one, on the photographs online, it looked like a beautiful sky blue, but it's actually more of a
Milky blue gray.
milky gray, slight hints of very. So it's a nice color. It's a little more, for me, festive. I was like, look, I'm so desperate at this point. I'll take that horrible clown blue that you see sometimes on cars. I really don't want a red car. I just think, I don't know.
One of the things about having to shop for this was the CD player. And I was shocked by the number of used 24 and 25 model Subarus that were for sale. All with low mileage, but all used. And I had to rule them all out because of the CDs, but the more I looked, the more I realized people are buying cars and they can't afford the car payments once they get them. They can't afford the insurance payments. Which brings us to the interesting story about the insurance today. You want me to tell that?
Yeah, you do it. I'm not.
Okay.
When we met with the salesman, I said when we got down to brass tacks, I said, okay, now I'm turning things over to Bonnie because she's the money side of the operation here. Because I don't. Okay, so you talk about this.
So it was a 2023 car. It had less than 50,000 miles on it. So when he wrecked it, we got a good payout. Nonetheless, I wanted to stay as close to that insurance payout as possible. And going in, I knew I may have to schedule up to $5,000 over the payout amount. And it bothered me. It bothered me all night. So I kept reworking the numbers. And I came down to brass tacks of what I could possibly get it down to, and then what I ideally wanted it for. And ideally, I wanted it for $1,000 over what the insurance check was, which was several $1,000s less than they wanted. And so I went through their accounting thing, and I went ahead and just slashed a couple things off. I said, I'm not paying for this, I'm not paying for that. And they gave me a thing about the state fees, and I said, no. The filing fee, electronic filing fee, is $25. Your tag fee is $20 for the tag, and it's $18. So I want the $125 reduced to, it was $62 or something. And because I've been looking at this, I know what these things cost. I've been shopping and then buying cars. And so I got the $2,500 knocked off, another $60-something knocked off. And then they had another price, and they said, what do we have to do? And I gave them $1,000 over what we had, and they came back with $200 over that. So we paid $1,200 more than the insurance paid off. So I emailed the insurance guy. I'd gotten a quote from him the day before because I was that positive about the car. I mean, I actually wanted to drive it and stuff, and before I was 100%. So I got in touch with the insurance guy, and he gave me the insurance information, and I met with him at 1 o'clock, and I said, what can we do to reduce the insurance cost but still have coverage at a good level? We ended up keeping all of our insurance coverage levels, the same deductible. We had a multi-car discount, and I changed it to where we pay it in full every 6 months instead of a couple of times every 6 months. We saved so much money on insurance. We knocked off $1,285 on the insurance for all 4 of our vehicles. So I got the $1,200 back that we had spent over the amount plus $85. I was so pleased, and I was also pleased that this week we made a shit ton of interest off of some of our money. I didn't realize that one of our CDs is now paying out on a monthly basis, and so it's been a good week financially.
Now, the way those finances are earned is through my employment. And we're at the busy season of the post office, and this week has been horrible. Yeah.
You guys deal with Amazon. That's one of the biggest
Amazon
problems.
is through the roof. It's twice as much. Look,
It doesn't help you guys have to deal with asshole drivers from Amazon either.
yeah,
Tell them the story.
99% of the Amazon drivers have no problem bringing the mail into the building and putting it where I want it put. But occasionally you'll have a driver who wants to do the bare minimum. So last night, the last Amazon driver we had, guy pulls up. I always try to meet with the driver personally because I have a script I go through that I've worked out to sort of move them in that direction. So the guy pulls up. How many pallets of mail you got for us? He goes, the whole truck. I said, okay. Have you been here before? Yes. I said, so you know where to put it. That's one of the things I'll say. He goes, I'm going to put it where I always put it, right here in front of the truck. Just drop it right in front of the truck and leave it on the dock. And I went, okay. And I walked off because I have no authority to make the guy do anything, but I can't be an asshole to him.
In other words, you don't help him.
Occasionally, I will help a driver unload his truck, especially if it's freezing cold and he's got a lot to do and I want the shit done.
Yeah.
And they appreciate it. Yesterday, I helped a guy unload his truck, and he was like, hey man, thank you for helping. That was nice. But anyway,
This guy's an asshole.
so I go back in the building. I'm just going to let him unload the truck, and I'm just going to deal with it later. Another guy I work with is taking stuff out of the building, out onto the dock to empty equipment. So as he's going out there, I stop him and tell him what happened. Okay. He comes back in a second and he goes, one of the very first tall boxes he took off his truck, he dropped it all over the dock and the mail went everywhere and he's having to pick it up. He said, he looked at me and said, this is your fault for rushing me. And the guy I work with said, it's got nothing to do with me. You dropped the pallet. And the guy goes, if I had been hurt, you'd be in trouble. And my coworker said, no, you'd be fired because you have no. You work for Amazon. You work for Jeff Bezos. You have no union, no contract, no nothing.
Yeah.
You report an injury, you're out the door, Jack. This guy did not like that. He had to pick up all this mail off the floor. You know, if he had shown any sense of cooperation with me, I would have helped him unload his truck. You don't know how many times I have helped the driver pick up mail off the floor, or I've caught a pallet before it fell over. And they really appreciate it. But this guy's an asshole. Woman I work with went out there when he was picking the mail off the floor. She said his pants fell down to his knees and his butt was hanging out, and she was like, she was revolted. Anyway.
Does he wear underwear?
I don't know. He was wearing red jogging suit, tracksuit we used to call it in the old days.
Oh my God.
But anyway, and it's been freezing cold, and so a couple days ago, one of the pieces of equipment that they've been promising us for a year finally showed up. I went into work there for yesterday, and I was like, wow, we actually got something. It's not what they promised us, but it is a new piece of equipment. Well, it didn't work. It was on charge. I took it off charge. Wouldn't do anything. So the postmaster shows up, and I'm like, I'm not even going to talk to him. I'm not even going to tell him. The other guy told him, and he's like, but we just got this thing. He goes, well, maybe the batteries are bad. We have some spare batteries in the mechanic shop. I'll get them to put it in. So last night, go in there. The plastic housing is off the top of the motor, and the new batteries in it, and are in it, and it's charging. Okay, so near the end of the night, the guy I work with goes over there with the postmaster, and nothing's happened. The batteries are not taking the charge. So they gave him a lemon. And it was supposed to be brand new, but then it turns out, no, it's not brand new. It's just something he seconded from another office. So anyway, my prediction is coming true. My prediction was that come January the 1st, 2026, we will still not have any equipment. We won't have the proper equipment, and anything that they do give us will not work properly, and the stuff we have already will not be repaired. My sage-like powers of prediction are remaining in full effect.
I think it may be the fact you've been screwed over so many times, you know that there is no hope.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, work has been horrible, and but I gotta say, I've worked with a lot of people at the post office over the years. I've worked with a lot of collections of people, and for a small group, this has been these people I work with are among the best I've ever worked with. One of the women I work with is a few years older than I was, and she was a clerk, and she was willing to become a mail handler, which is a step down, because they weren't treating her right where she was working as a clerk. And she's a damn good worker. Now, there's another woman I work with who's a few years younger, and I've worked with her for 20 years. And many, many years ago, I worked with her in Athens before, and little bit of a reputation for not being that great of a worker. But I got to tell you, she's damn good, and she's diligent, and she's solicitous about the job. So, I got no problem with anybody I work with. There's 5 of us in total on the night shift, but one of the guys was on his off day last night, so it was just 4 of us. And for 4 people working with broken equipment or no equipment, we actually got it done. And that's
How many trucks did you guys have last night?
Well, when I got there, the dock was already covered with shit from I don't know how many trucks and how many Amazon drop-offs. And there was another guy on the enclosed dock who was unloading. And he unloaded all by himself before I could get to him. So I go out there just to begin to sort of see what the lay of the land is. Guy shows up, starts unloading. Then another guy shows up. Then another guy shows up. That's 3 trucks, okay?
So 4 total.
Plus the other guy, 4. My first coworker shows up half an hour after I get there. By the time he's gotten there, another 1 or 2 have shown up, and then one of the women shows up another half hour after that, and another truck shows up. And then after that, probably another 5 trucks. Postal trucks, and
so
another
that's 12,
and then another maybe 3 or 4 Amazon trucks.
15 to 16 trucks show up.
Mail's everywhere. It's
that 8-hour
everywhere.
slot that
Yeah.
And you've already got a full dock when you show up.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got 16 trucks plus a full dock, and you've got 1 machine to run it through to distribute.
But not only that,
the local, and then the local area, and then the city area. And you guys did it with 5 mail handlers and 4 mail handlers,
4, yeah.
and a handful of clerks running the machine.
Yeah. One of the junior level clerks had to help us, had to work.
Because it was so busy.
And sometimes, this whole last 2 weeks, the 2 most senior clerks have been coming in an hour early, and they've been jumping on, if they have nothing else to do, they've been jumping on the Amazon mail, separating machinable from non-machinable, along with us. And
this is just the Athens, Georgia area.
Well, what you have is what we call
Elberton.
No, we don't do Elberton anymore.
You don't do Elberton.
No.
So you've got.
No, actually, we do. We do. What am I saying? Yeah, of course we do.
You've got Elberton, Elbert County, Madison County, Oconee County, Oglethorpe County.
Well, what you have is what we call the hub, which is Athens. Then you have the spokes on the hub, which is Winterville, Colbert, Comer, Hull, Watkinsville, Crawford, Lexington.
Elberton.
No, that's one of the out. Okay,
Oh.
and that's just that. Then you have a larger ring surrounding that, which we call downstream, and that's
Elberton.
Monroe, Elberton, Madison.
You do reach a bit further than I thought.
Yeah, Greensboro, Royston. Royston, Hartwell, Toccoa. Yeah.
You've got the 10 counties plus one or two up in the
Right.
Northeast.
Right.
So yeah.
The difference between the spokes and the hub and the outer ring is that the hub and the spokes, their carriers are in our building.
Yeah.
The outer ring, we have drivers that take that mail out to those post offices.
Yeah. So the carrier for Crawford is in Athens now?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So in the old days, the carriers were at the individual offices all around, even small offices. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So he will take the mail to the Arnoldville post office, the Lexington post office, and the Crawford post office.
Now, as far as that's concerned, you're talking about the actual office and the
itself,
box section.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would imagine he would have to,
Yeah.
or so one of them would have to.
Yeah. Do they still
But see, these
have
are
star drivers that pick up
They don't
from
call-
the small post offices? Like if you drop off stuff at the blue box out in the things, do the star drivers still pick them up?
I don't know who picks that up. I would imagine the carriers pick that up.
Oh.
See, that's a good question. I don't know how they handle the mail that's picked up at the post office by box holders, because the carriers that I see, those are the route drivers, the guys we see on the road dropping off at the boxes at the end of your driveway. But that's a good question. I'll have to ask somebody, because I do know that some of those drivers do get box section mail. So
I have a question. We still have rural carriers and such.
yeah.
If you've got the Crawford guy, he takes the stuff to Crawford and then they distribute it to the Arnoldville and Lexington carriers and the rural route carriers?
No, the Arnoldville carrier is at the Athens building.
And the Crawford carrier is at the Crawford building.
Yeah.
See, it used to be there was an Arnoldville guy
Right,
that was
right.
at Crawford.
Right, that's all gone. Yeah.
All of it is gone now.
Yeah, they're all consolidated now.
Holy shit. I don't know how you guys fit everything in there.
Well, there's
Do you
plenty
think
of room, believe
Do you think
me.
it's an attempt to get rid of the smaller post offices now?
I think that there's an element within the post office and within the Republican Party that would love to do that, but that's just not feasible, because you got local people that need to go to a place nearby to buy stamps,
Yeah.
to drop packages off. And
Yeah.
the thing is, people don't realize in this day and age, but the post office was, and to a certain extent still is, a central point for the local community. I remember when my mother was the postmaster of our little town here, back when the population was about 150.
50.
And I would hang around the post office, and this community was 60% elderly people when I was a kid. And they would meet at the post office. They would just bump into each other. They'd stop by to do something, and they would get to talking. 3 or 4 old guys or 2 or 3 old ladies, and they would talk at the post office.
Don't forget that famous book about
Right,
gathering
yeah.
at the post office. What was it called?
The Georgia, what would you say? The Georgia Association
Carriers.
of Post Office or Postmasters had an organization, the Georgia Postmasters, whatever association, and they put out a little newsletter that came out once a quarter or something. Well, the postmaster in, I can't think of the name of the town, but way down deep South Georgia, he wrote a humorous column for this public publication called Around the Cracker Barrel. And it was very, very popular. And it was true or semi-true stories of stuff that happened in his local community connected with him and this goober he had as a carrier. And So it got to be so popular that some people raised some money to collect all the columns and have it privately printed in a book. So my mother went to a postmaster's convention and she got to meet the guy. She was delighted to meet him because the column was funny, and she bought a copy of the book, and he signed it. He autographed it to her, and I have that book here today. It's called Around the Cracker Barrel. You'll never find it on Amazon because it was privately printed, and maybe only 900 copies were printed ever. And I would, if I ever became a millionaire, I would love to go to his. He's been dead 30 years, but go to his family and say, I'd like to buy the rights, the film rights to this thing, because this would make a great book. Movie. But yeah, what were you getting at? Oh, community center. Yeah. And, that's just, people don't realize that the post office, your local post office, used to be part of the community because the people who worked at the post office lived in the community.
I worked at 3 different locations where we sold online, and we had to use post office services.
Yeah.
And it would mean going in and standing in line and having things wait for us for a while. And then later on, as we expanded, we had our own scales and stuff like that. We were able to print up things, and then they would arrange for a local carrier to come and pick up for us. But still, there were specialty things. Sometimes we had to go deal with customs issues. Because I worked with an international horror group where we sold horror films. So there were it's a huge thing, horror cult status. And so we would have to deal with postmasters. We have to stand online, deal with customs issues. We have to deal with special weight issues, returns, and then batch processing for large shipments of 300 plus items. And you absolutely need to have that local thing. I know with the tariffs, some people are having to shift away and they're losing their businesses because they were doing import for resale. And now with the minimus tax exemption gone, people can't afford to do that. But the business that we were in, we were able to keep going and do these type of things. It's still going. And the small post offices are vital for small towns. I worked specialty computer tech sales, resales, Mac products. I did rare inventory, antiques, things like that. And you end up getting these rural businesses because warehouses and buildings are cheaper in rural areas to rent. We were paying $5,000 plus a month in Athens for something we could have had for $1,500 until they converted the facility out here in Crawford. So, yeah, there's a reason that people still keep rural hub businesses.
Yeah. Now, I have been pushed to the limit over the course of the last couple of years. And I used to have hundreds of hours of sick leave, but I've boiled down to very little. So I was supposed to have a dentist appointment on the 11th. And Bonnie said, well, look, why don't you just swap? I'll take your appointment and you do mine, which is in several months. Okay. Now, we recently swapped over to a new dentist because Bonnie had some problems with the office staff at the old place not filing our insurance properly, or not filing it at all.
Never filing our insurance.
So, Bonnie likes the new dentist. I'm not completely sold on him yet. But she had an interesting experience when she took my appointment 2 days ago. So why don't you tell them about that?
So the last time we went in for our initial exam, and this guy is the most thorough dentist.
The
I've ever
dentist
seen.
himself, not the cleaning technician.
Yeah,
But go on now.
he's extremely thorough. It took an hour-long process. We had all of the panoramic X-rays, and he goes through and he documents every single thing that goes on with every single tooth. He checks for bone loss. You name it. He's good at what he does. Well, he handed us off to the cleaning person. And I am meticulous. I brush my teeth 3 to 4 times a day, okay? And I wasn't surprised it didn't take long, but even I noted the cleaning did not take as long as I thought it should. Lance goes through this whole process, and he walks out and he goes, I don't think I can keep on with this. I've never had such a lousy cleaning in my life. And I thought, this is interesting. So I went back this week, and this woman was just scraping and doing all the things, and she had to irrigate an abscess area because I had something stuck in the gum. And I said, this is a lot better experience than last time. I said, it's a little painful, I'll admit, because of the gum abscess. I said, but I can feel it. Last time, we were just in and out, and my husband was really upset about it. She said, well, we fired that girl. And right now, the reason that you were 30 minutes late for your appointment is we're having to play catch up to catch all the problems that she missed. There was a problem with somebody's teeth, and they ended up having new problems that the cleaning should have caught last time. And so they had postponed mine by 30 minutes. She said they had to fire her because she just wasn't doing the job. It was just like, oh, I was just polishing it and doing a simple floss. None of the scraping, none of the plaque removal, none of it, you know. She wasn't even checking the gums. And this lady went through and she touches all the gums. She checks this for sensitivity. She scrapes. She's getting down in there and just... And last time I noticed that this girl had not gotten between 2 of my teeth that are extremely tight. And that's where the abscess happened this time.
Speaking of which, my personal floss I ran out of this evening. So I grabbed that freebie that you got. Okay, is that all right?
That's fine. That's
okay,
fine.
all right, cool.
But
The Oral-B Glide, I really like it. But then a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, they changed the formula to make it cheaper. And now it's just a strip of plastic. That's all it is. So very disappointed. But anyway,
no fiber. There's no grip to it.
Right. It was sort of a braided thing before. Right. I don't know what. I mean, anyway, but this. So Bonnie got a free sample of this of that, and I used it, and it is marginally better. So I guess they've received some complaints and decided to make it a little bit more like it used to be. It's still not the same
It's
thing.
Still not the same.
Yeah.
So everything has declined in quality.
Everything.
And
except Subarus.
It's really funny. I think your older one is actually better than the newer one was. We'll see, but it just that one today was really nice.
I was willing to go with the Outback if that's all that was available because I'm really sold on the Subaru thing. I just think they're built like a tank. And but I'm glad I got the Crosstrek because I don't like a. I mean, Outbacks aren't monstrous, but it is bigger than I'm used to, and I don't want to.
This has a couple of different added airbags that the other one didn't have.
Mm-hmm. It also had that rubberized vinyl backing thing on the back of the seats.
Yeah.
So that when you fold the seats, when you fold the seats down from the trunk.
Well, that's the thing. They're what it's called mudware.
Right.
Instead of having just your basic carpeted mats, this has an option for mudware. The entire back is already kitted out in mudware, so the lining mine, I just flip the mat over. Yours is completely permanently lined in this stuff. And when you flip down the seats, it's a continuation of it. And then in the trunk of your car, you have mudware mats
That I can swap out
that
for
you
the.
can swap out.
Right.
So if we go up on a hike and you got dirty boots, and we just go and swap them out, okay?
To me, that's a very romantic image. If we had a tent and sleeping bags, put them in the back of the Crosstrek, and you and I go up and
I'm going to opt for that cabin again at the lake that we went up to.
that
The one
cottage.
had, the cottage, it had a big porch off the back overlooking the lake.
I would love to
and
do
a
that
big
again.
Fireplace and a couple of bedrooms with separate bathrooms, a full kitchen, a nice dining room. There was 8 chairs at that dining table.
Well, look,
It
maybe
was really nice.
maybe next Halloween we'll be in a financial position we can do that again. I would love to do that.
Technically, we can do it again now, but I still want to keep just pushing for savings as much as
Right,
possible.
But
Things
this
are getting a lot
time,
worse.
when we go, bring our own pillows from home,
Yeah.
and bring deck of cards, more books,
games.
some games, and I just that was one of the best trips Bonnie and I have ever had. It's one of the very few trips we ever had, just the two of us.
We lucked out taking bottled water with us because the lake effect up there flips the scum to the top and it draws from it. It's horrible flavor. And there's sulfur. There's actually a place called Sulphur Springs nearby. So between the lake effect and the sulfur, the water was undrinkable. So yeah, remember we got to do the bottled water. Even Reed and Andrew took up bottled water when they went up to the mountains a couple months ago.
Did you? I know you told our daughter about the cottage when we went last year. Did you play it up? Did it sound like something she would want to do to her?
Well, yes, so much so that when they went away this spring, they went to a B&B. They found a house that had a hot tub, which is a plus for me, in my opinion, And but theirs was only a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, but it had a screened-in porch and a full grill inside and outside porch and patio, and then a covered hot tub. So that they found it based on a location near to where she had vacationed with her ex, and she really liked that mountain area, so they opted for that.
Okay.
They also went to a lot of places out to eat and antique stores because it was more centrally located. The place we went was about 20 miles outside of Gainesville, so we never went into town because the roads were just tortuous enough. We didn't want to make a trek in and out.
I think we should do that if we go to that same state park again. I think we should go into Gainesville for a day.
I think we should probably have an extra night. We had 2 nights last time.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else is on the list to talk about. The only other thing I have on the list is we finished watching the most recent series of Slow Horses.
Oh, yeah.
Now, okay, let me put it to you this way. The previous season, I thought, was a little bit over the top and therefore a little bit silly.
The river and his...
Not only that,
Yeah,
but their
yeah.
small little team of misfits takes on an army of trained,
Assassins.
warriors, and I think that this season was a little silly too and a little bit far-fetched. But as with a lot of British shows, and this was true of Doctor Who back in the 70s too, the writing is so good and the acting is so good, so much better than you get on an American show, that it overcomes those deficiencies.
It's so much better than it has to be. The writing is excellent. I finally did get around to reading 1 or 2 of the Slow Horses books before I switched over to something else. And Mick Herron is in the style of Jean Le Carré, and Le Carré set the the standard for spy fiction, and a lot of the shortcuts in the language, and the British humor that is in the show is translated directly from the book. And so it was a very, very readable and very funny series, whereas Le Carre is very serious, but also readable. But he does not have humor. And the Gary Oldman character, the way that he just abuses them verbally, continues so well in the books. The thing that bothered us the most about this season had to be one person, one character, Roddy Ho.
Roddy Ho
Is despicable.
He is so irritating.
Yes.
And
you truly learn to hate him.
In the last episode of this most recent season, Gary Oldman's character insists that he get Roddy Ho back on his team. And on the one hand, you're like, why would you do that? He's a total fuck up, and he's made a huge mistake that cost a lot of problems. But
he's a master hacker.
But on the other hand, it makes you see that despite his gruff exterior, Gary Oldman's character does actually care for these people, and he wants his team to stick together.
Yeah. So much so that he sabotages River's career by saying, no, you don't want River back, I'm keeping him.
Well, okay, now what I want to get to is this, and I'm not going to spoil anything. There's already... Okay.
There's a story.
Okay. Either the episode... I think it's 2 episodes before the final one on this most recent series. Jackson Lamb, who's Gary Oldman's character, tells this story, okay? And it's about this agent that he knew when he was a local station chief in Germany, who is tortured by the Stasi. Now, after that, Catherine, who is like the secretary of the team, she confronts him and she says, "That story you told, that was you, wasn't it?" And he goes, "Oh, Catherine, I just made it up." Okay, now, the very last scene in the last episode, something happens. And
you see something.
You see something, and you're like, and I didn't even catch it until hours later. All of a sudden, I went, "Oh my God." I jump up and run to the computer and see other people have caught it too. So that's just another example of just superior writing. And
one of the cool things about the series is, like so much of British fiction, everybody owes so much to Jean le Carre. And Smiley's people, the Alec Guinness, set the standard for the way you act as a spy chief, etc. And Jean le Carre's stuff was set in the Cold War. And a lot of it was around Germany, the division of Germany, East and West. And The Spy Who Came from the Cold, a Richard Burton film, one of his most famous books, was turned into that movie. The thread of Germany, the Cold War, the betrayals and things like that, it's always there in le Carre's books. And for Gary Oldman's character to be set as a former German, West German spy, operating occasionally in the East, that was perfect, because he is a fuck up in every possible way. He's been put out at Sly House to deal with the people who want to drum out of service. the people that are the rejects of the service, and he himself is a reject, but he still has the ear of first and second chair.
Well, not only that,
And he is respected because he was a field guy.
There's a scene in the last episode or next to the last episode where the guy who's in charge of, is it MI5 or MI6?
Well, it's 5 and 6. One's internal, one's external.
I know, but anyway, the guy who's the nominal head is questioning Gary Oldman's competence or aptness to the task to Christian Scott Thomas, who's like his number 2. And she goes, he has more field experience than anybody in this building.
Yeah, he had come over from 6 into 5. It's local. So this is the local internal services.
Right.
That they're doing. But they, at their core, the older people are from the external services.
If you showed Gary Oldman's portrayal of this character to somebody 40 years ago, they wouldn't believe it's the same guy from The Fifth Element, or the guy who was in Sid and Nancy, or God, he was Dracula.
Yeah.
And he was also in, I wanted to watch this, but I never finished it, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Oh, yeah.
He used to be paired with Tim Roth a lot.
He was also in and out of some famous women's beds.
I would love to see.
I was shocked when I found that out.
Tim Roth has sort of just disappeared, but I would.
He's gone TV. He's gone TV.
Well, a lot of these guys, Gary Oldman's gone, but I would love to see them do a project together again. Now they're older.
Oh, it would be fabulous to see those two together.
Speaking of which, this is just an idea. This is a side issue. I've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles many, many times. And when they were developing the idea, the original idea was to have, I think it was Rob Lowe and somebody else. It was 2 young people play the 2 parts. And then somehow they wound up with Steve Martin and John Candy. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to remake that movie, but with the original actors in mind, or this time. But this time, the roles are reversed. It's the neatness freak who is the one who is bereft of family, and it's the big Slav guy who has the family and wife and children waiting for him at home. Just a little tinkering with it, don't you know? But anyway, that's a side issue. But getting back to, I remember years ago, I was a monstrous Doctor Who fan of the Tom Baker, Peter Davison era, and I remember I got a friend of mine into watching it a lot. And I remember talking to him one time, and we're like, the show is on a shoestring budget, but these people are such good actors, it just overcomes that.
Well, part of it is that in British acting, in order to get your actor's card, you have to serve time doing theater production, dress, staging, all kinds of actual work. You just can't buy access to getting your card. You have to go in and you have to put in real labor to do it. And I really do think that they have a better training program over there and a better admissions requirement for getting your actor's card there.
Yeah. I was I don't have the kind of reverence for Elvis that a lot of people do.
No.
But it is interesting to think or to question what would have happened if he had been in A Star Is Born instead of Kris Kristofferson. Because Barbra Streisand originally wanted Elvis to do it. And Colonel Parker was like, no, Elvis has a clean-cut family image. We can't have him in this, debauched film. But a lot of people who saw Elvis do screen tests for more serious roles that he never was allowed to take said he was a much better actor than those shitty movies let on.
Yeah.
Which makes me think anybody could be a good actor if they're just given a little bit of training and they're given the right part.
I remember years ago, we were still watching DVDs and videos regularly, and we ended up with a copy of a Kevin Costner movie. I don't know if it was called Mr. Roberts or something.
Oh, yeah.
But he plays a serial killer, and you were reluctant to watch it. But we watched it anyway, and you're like, I didn't know he could act. I thought he was just a one-dimensional type of character.
Yeah.
Bull Durham, that sort of thing. And I'm like, no, he really can act, sweetie. Because I'd seen him in several other things since Bull Durham days.
Waterworld. Do I need to remind you about Waterworld?
I'm sorry, he also did The Postman, and Peter and I are huge fans of The Postman, as well as the book. And it's just one of those things where Alice is home and dances with wolves. And I thought he was good in that.
I like
had dismissed him, but that Roberts role, or I think it was Roberts, that really was a dark fucking side of him.
Do you remember, oh God. As far as I liked the movie Dances with Wolves, I didn't particularly care for him or his character, but I liked the chick who played the woman raised by the Indians.
Yeah.
What was her name? It wasn't Marley Matlin. It was
Mary.
Something. But I'll tell you something else. The other thing that really impressed me was that
Sneakers.
That guy who was on. It wasn't She's the Boss. It was
Not Tony Danza.
no, not Tony Danza, but it was the guy who was like sort of a slob. He had sort of a mullet and a big mustache. He had an Italian last name.
What show?
Something like that, though. What the hell was it?
I don't know what you're referring to.
But in Dances with Wolves, he plays like, he's some sort of guy who operates a buckboard with a team of mules. And he gets attacked by the Indians, and they shoot him or something, and he's dying, and his last words are like, "Oh, my mules! Don't kill my mules!" And I was like, "Damn, he's a pretty good actor. Way better than I thought."
Yeah.
He had a name like.
You want to pause and go look it up?
Okay, hold on a second. Okay. All right, as all of you out there watching have already started yelling, it's Robert Pastorelli, and he's been dead 21 years. I had no idea. I had no idea, but that's
He was on Murphy Brown. He played her painter and then live-in nanny.
That's right, yeah, because that's how I remember him, is wearing that painter's smock or painter's overalls.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to look that up on IMDb.
I hate IMDb because it's just such a clumsy site with all the ads. I'd just rather go to Wikipedia and look at somebody's filmography there. But yeah.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't have shown up on the Dances with Wolves thing, probably. That's why I went to IMDb.
No, yeah, he would have, because
he was like
there weren't that many
20th or 30th down. All the Indian actors got all billing before him.
Graham Greene was the main guy, Native American dude on that. I'll tell you one thing I did like about Dances with Wolves. There's a couple of scenes, and I guess this was done digitally, but in the background, when they're all out on the plains, in the background, they have digitally added buffalo the way they would have looked back then. Because remember the famous phrase, "and the hills were black with buffalo." There were millions of them. They were the dominant fauna of this continent. And gone. Butcher them for no fucking...
And what do we have for photographs? We have mounds, hills of bones.
Yeah,
to document the dead.
There's a Charles Bronson movie called The White Buffalo. And there's a scene in that movie where they have recreated one of these heaps of bones out by a train tracks or something. And the movie sucked, but I remember watching that many, many years ago and going, "Is that the way things really were? Just a mountain of bones as big as a line of city buses?" And so I looked about a couple months ago. I looked online, and yep, they have historical photographs of just mountains of these bones, where they just wholesale butchery.
They would skin them and take the fur at best. Sometimes they would take some of the meat.
Leave the meat to rot.
Tons, they would just take the fur and they would just leave it to rot as they had been killed. And there were so many on the ground that some of them remained with their pelts on.
Well, when I was researching this maybe a year ago, I think that they would ship those bones back east to grind up to make stuff. I can't.
Fabulous to add to gardens for an additive.
Yeah.
But
this attitude people used to have, which was that, well, the earth has been put here for us to despoil. We are the masters of the planet. Nothing, no understanding of conservation
or interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Right now they're partway through a reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone.
Oh.
Because the elks were taking over and basically eating a lot of the shrubbery and such, and then other populations would end up suffering, and they were necessary for maintaining herd size in an area that kept the ecosystem in balance.
I found out something today I did not know. Somehow, on Rational Wiki, I wound up on the Falkland Islands article. The Falkland Islands were uninhabited until a couple hundred years ago. The only large mammal species on the island was a wolf-like creature called a wara or a wura or something like that. And when Charles Darwin visited the islands, he predicted this is the dodo of these islands, because he predicted that people would just kill them. And sure enough, when they introduced agriculture and sheep to the islands, the locals, the colonists, perceived them as a threat, and they just killed them all. Extinct. Gone.
In Hawaii, they have strict rules about what can be imported.
There used to be no snakes.
Yeah. And because the wildlife has been, in many cases, around the world, decimated by introduction of rats, cats, poisonous toads, camels. I mean,
I remember. I wish I need to look this up and research it. But there is an island or a few little islands out in the Pacific where goats and cats were introduced to this island and basically left to go feral. Well, the cats have turned into basically the local predators, and the goats have become they've in small format they've recapitulated like the say mountain lions buffalo dynamic. Here you have herds of grazing animals preyed upon, but in miniature form, which I think is kind of cool.
I don't know about cool, but
I mean, can you imagine a cat taking down a goat on some island? It's strange. There's some sort of evolutionary phenomenon where species on islands tend to get either smaller or bigger than their relatives on the continent. I can't remember if it's smaller or bigger.
Do you remember a couple of years back there was a startling discovery of humanoid hominid remains on one of the Indonesian islands? And they were like Florensis habitus. It was an extremely small species of human that they had found. And it's thought that maybe that they had become an isolated population.
Makes me want to look up pygmies, how small they were.
Yeah, are. They still exist.
I would imagine they're bigger, taller now, with
I don't know.
contact with Western people.
Are the pygmies the ones that had the famous goat herds? Where
Doubt it.
they would, no, they had, maybe not. No, it was one of the, I think it was Serengeti tribes now that I think about it. They had goat herds, and they discovered that the goats are horny bastards. They want to fucking populate twice a year. They want to breed and have litters. Well, in the region, they would suffer these periodic drought cycles, and they would lose a lot of goats to the drought cycle because they would breed twice a year, and so it would put extra stress on the herd, and the females were more likely to die. The kids were not surviving because of the drought, so they created the goat apron. They would tie an apron around the male goat's midsection so that when he tried to mount the female,
You told me something about this recently.
They could not mount the female. They could manage to basically get off, in a sense, but they wouldn't get them pregnant. But they found that if they limited the herd to one breeding period a year, that the goats had a higher survival rate. I thought that was clever as hell.
Yeah.
But you're right, the pygmies are inside the interior, the jungle interior.
Of Africa.
Yeah, whereas this group of people were out in the desert area.
Yeah, I don't think there are any goats in the tropical parts or the jungle parts of Africa. I think just up in
We have the Nubian goats right up the road from us, and they are extremely hardy stock. They are very good at extremely high temperatures. That's why they've prospered here in Georgia.
I'm going to have to remember one day when next time I go into Winterville on a non-work day, as you're going in on the right, there's people own a big piece of property and they have ponies in there. And I just noticed it a couple of weeks ago for the first time. I'd like to go over there and take a look at these ponies. Because I saw at least 5 or 6, so...
Okay, so, I don't know if you've noticed, but every time the kids and I drive past the cows, what do? Moo!
Yeah.
Every single time. There's that whole
years ago
where they have the goat, they have the cows, the mini horses, and then there's a pasture that has both the large horses and the cows together, right up near that church.
Yeah. Many years ago, went to Biltmore House with my family, and in the local town, the nearby town of Biltmore, we stopped there for some reason. They had these beautiful Guernsey cattle in this big, beautiful chocolate eyes. They're just like teddy bears, anyway. Oh, listen, we've been talking for over an hour. We need to wrap it up, and we will give you an update next week as to how the car works out, and whether I've wrecked it and Bonnie can do the show alone because I'm dead. So
because I kill him.
I survived the wreck, but not her frying pan.
All right. Well.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.